Hind Deer Podcast, marhaba, marhaba, marhaba. Hind Deer Podcast, marhaba, marhaba, marhaba. Yalla habibi, mashallah habibti, yalla.
Hey everyone, welcome to Hind Deer Podcast.
Hello, hi. Welcome to another episode of Hind Deer Podcast. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Sally. Sally on Instagram joined
Slay
us.
always.
And
Moez?
Moez Marauni says, I don't know what he says on YouTube.
SLT, salute, maybe.
Oh, salute. Salute, Moez. Today's episode is...
The Trump administration is basically trying to dismantle the federal government. And so we're just going to talk about the department that they've been canceling and just a few other things that are going on in the world right now because the world's a little bit of a crazy place. Also, check out my new flamboyant merch.
Yeah, we're wearing Hind Deer. Hind Deer's shirt. You guys can order that anytime you want if you want to support us.
Luke asked how to contact you. You can call us on WhatsApp. The number is 614...
332-2811. You got to add +1 if you're calling from abroad. Also, the number is in the description box.
Or it's about to be.
It is on the description in YouTube, actually.
Okay.
You can find that number. You call us on WhatsApp, and it's free. You can call us on WhatsApp anytime.
Make sure WhatsApp is turned on.
Tell us whatever is on your mind. There's a lot going on right now. All right, what do you have prepared for us?
Just so many things.
So many things. Where should we start?
Watch this video. People are so crazy with politics. Like, I don't understand. I get the idea of like supporting someone, but people look at politics sometimes like they're rooting for a sports team, and it's so cringe. Look at this lady.
Yo! We stay winning with Trump. We stay winners. We're winners. Winner, chicken dinner. Fuck these Democrats. Fuck these Democrats. They're demons. They're demons. They're demons with mental illnesses that have Trump derangement syndrome that are trying to destroy our country, destroy our spirit, destroy everything. Romans 14:13. Do not judge, but judge on this. If your brother puts a stumbling block or an occasion for your brother to fall. Biden Kamala made us fall. Judge, baby, judge. These Democrats ain't nothing but demons, boo. All right? With Trump, we're winners. We're winners. Chicken dinner.
Crazy. Person is literally calling people that disagree with her on politics demons. That's insane. You can tell someone has a very low IQ by the way they talk about politics. You know, like I guarantee you that lady's IQ is below 110.
Yeah.
Probably lower than that. You just don't, it's stupid to talk that way. It doesn't even make sense. Like you're demonizing almost half the country. And to be honest, when people talk about liberal people on the left, they have a very narrow definition of what they're talking about. You know, they're talking about people with blue hair and people that talk about nothing but trans rights and all these things. They don't understand. There's a lot of people that are sort of in the middle that want to look at things rationally. And someone like that is demonizing people that ask questions. She's demonizing people that want to make sure things are happening the way that benefits the citizens of the United States. She's a simple person. Simp's gonna simp.
But how is she a Trump? I'm so surprised. She's a black person and Trump supporter. I thought Trump is a racist. You know.
I don't think Trump's a racist.
Yeah, you don't. I think
No.
he's racist with Arabs at least.
I think there's so we'll get into that. I think there's some stuff going on there, but you're comparing Americans to non-Americans, you know, a whole like foreign national group versus a subculture within the United States. But I think with Trump too, I mean, there's just a lot of people people are always like this. They want to be part of something. They want to fit in. And with politics, it's so easy. You know, all you got to do is just repeat what everyone else is saying. You don't have to understand it. You just repeat it. And then you feel like you know something. Like if you just run around saying like, Democrats hate America. Democrats hate America. Some people will say, oh, that's somebody that knows a little bit about politics. Look, he knows about Democrats and he thinks Democrats hate America. He must know a lot about politics. And the truth is a person like that knows nothing about politics. And the same thing when people talk about people on the right, saying that Republicans are racist or just cliche things that don't make any fucking sense because it's a big country and not everyone's exactly the same. But people like that are following a cookie cutter version of politics because people like that don't really think outside the box at all. They just want an identity.
It's like a black and white to them. Like
Yeah.
This person, she gives a vibe of black and white. It's either you're a Democrat and a demon or you're a Republican and an angel. Like there's nothing in between.
Yeah, and then these kind of people too, they don't want to question anything that conservative politicians do. They just assume everything is right. And I think that politicians by nature are pretty shady people on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, I question both. I question on the ideas of that politician, not because they are affiliated with some party. It's dumb to like assume that whole party is an angelic party.
Whenever you have an authoritarian movement, and you can categorize authoritarian however you like, but a strong leader with politics, you have to build a group identity and you have to have an outsider to consolidate power to defend against. And that's a big part of right-wing politics, not just in America. It goes back to Machiavelli. And I'm not saying even right or left in today's standards, but strong statist power, which we correlate with being right-wing politics.
Someone commented on Instagram. He said, stupidity as a moral failure, not an intellectual shortcoming. What does that mean?
Stupidity as
a moral failure. Yeah. Stupidity as a moral failure, not an intellectual shortcoming.
On right-wing movements, you've always have this us versus them against the outsider. Like Hitler, for example. Hitler wrote the book Mein Kampf. Hitler was a leader of Nazi Germany. Most people think that Hitler was not a good person, but Hitler understood politics and he knew how to build political movements. And in Mein Kampf, Hitler wrote that politics is all about finding a message and dumbing it down so that the dumbest person in the crowd can understand it, and then you repeat it over and over again. It's basically the crux of how you develop a political movement. We'll clean that up later. We'll edit it out and make it look like I was so articulate.
It's so stressful these days.
Yeah. We're actually very stressed right now because everything's going on. Not that we are saying we're anti-Trump. We're not anti-left, anti-right. There's a lot of things happening right now and things are happening fast. And
scary.
There's real people involved and people's lives could be turned upside down right now. And we don't want that to happen in our life. We don't want it to happen to anyone else. I think there's probably thousands of families right now in the United States that are really afraid. They're really afraid. People that haven't done anything wrong, but they may narrowly define some mistake that they made to justify arresting them and deporting them and just ripping families apart. I don't understand how that's a good thing. I understand it's good to have organized immigration. I understand that it's good to protect the border. I understand that it's good to deport people who are violent criminals and also deport people more than they have before. I don't understand how it's good to rip apart families en masse, to tear apart their lives, other than it's what they do in authoritarian movements, where they have to have an enemy and then they attack the enemy.
Yeah.
I think everyone
and
build up.
Nowadays, it feels like I'm the enemy, like immigrants. Immigrants are the enemy.
And you're an Arab.
Yeah, plus I'm an Arab and I'm against the genocide. All these things together could make someone justify deporting me, supposedly because I'm a threat to national security, even though people like me might be beneficial to national security. If you guys don't know, let me simplify it for you. If you have enough people who will stand up to the injustice in your society will thrive and will overcome any obstacle, including injustice performed by authoritarian governments. And I come from a third world and I understand what this is. If you let people in who are silent about injustice and who are neutral and don't want to fix anything, then in the future, when an authoritarian government comes in power, you won't find enough people fighting back or stopping that from happening. And that can take this nation to a very dark place. It's a scary thing for me. because you guys have never lived in the third world and you don't know what it is like. We fled the third world looking for a better place, and we found it finally. We landed here. It's the land of the free. And then all of a sudden, you're kicking out the free and keeping the silent. That's scary shit. That's really scary. We have a plan. Me and my husband, we sat together and we have a plan. We're working towards a paperwork that will help us with our plan B. If they were to deport me without any logical reason, we have a plan for where we would go and what we would do. But it's just not smart deporting people who speak up against injustice. It's not smart for America. You guys don't understand that we are just like you. We are just human beings just like you. We want to live here in peace. We want this country to prosper because we can prosper then. You guys don't understand. We come from places with really like economic deprivation where we cannot prosper or thrive or have any chance of growing. And we come here and we find all these opportunities and we take them. But we want this country to be safe for us to keep our business, you know? You guys don't understand how dangerous that is. And if you as an American sit there and be fine with it, you gotta think again. You gotta think again. Don't let your country go to a dark place. It's a country with a great position on the map. The location of this country is great. We have a nice nation that protects us from foreign invaders. So that alone, you know, is a good thing. Then you gotta take care of the other thing. When the invaders are from within, you gotta take care of that. And I know there are more good people that don't want this to happen, and they should not be silent. That's what I'm saying to American people. That's my message.
If you have a more authoritarian saying, but Jose was here. Hey, Jose.
Hi, Jose. Oh, that's your friend, Jose.
Yeah. So anyways, when you have a more authoritative state and dissent is silenced, everything suffers. Because if you can't point out the flaws in the economy, if you can't point out the flaws in foreign policy, if you can't point out any flaws, then how do you self-correct? So when you take away freedom of speech, I mean, there's a reason why the United States is the most powerful country in the world. A lot of reasons, including our location. But to be honest, we're not the most educated country in the world. In fact, we're very uneducated in mass. We have schools, everyone has free education, but people are not very educated. But we still thrive. And one of the reasons we can thrive is that we can self-correct. We can point out our mistakes and get better. And we want America to be great. We totally support America's idea of America first. We like that idea. We love our country.
Also, like, America first does not mean everyone else is going to be killed by us. America first does not mean you go about the world imposing killing and like strength that way. It's a Christian country too. It's a Christian country, and Christianity is all about world peace. That's what I thought, you know. We have two dominant religions in the world, Islam and Christianity, and they are all about world peace. So it's possible. It's possible that everyone in the world can be left alone to thrive. America first doesn't mean like persecuting other people, killing other people, helping a nation kill other people.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking to about concerns that America's contemplating war with Iran. And I think most Americans don't support a war with Iran. And it's really scary, but I saw this, and here's what really made me concerned.
Do you think Islam is at war with the West?
I think Islam hates us. There's something there that there's a tremendous hatred there. There's a tremendous hatred. We have to get to the bottom of it. There is an unbelievable hatred of us.
In Islam itself?
You're going to have to figure that out, okay? You'll get another Pulitzer, right? But you're going to have to figure that out. But there is a tremendous hatred. And we have to be very vigilant. We have to be very careful. And we can't allow people coming into this country who have this hatred of the United States.
I guess the question is...
And of people that are not Muslim.
All right. Well, I mean, first of all, yeah, you want to let people in the country that are going to support the country thriving. You don't want people coming into the country that want to tear the country apart. We all agree on that. But what's really unnerving about that is that interview took place, I think, the day after Israel broke the ceasefire in Gaza and murdered over 400 civilians in multiple airstrikes.
So that was used to justify The killing of these
Well,
people.
I mean, if you probably turn on the news from the Middle East, you probably heard a lot of people saying things about how much they didn't like the United States, but justifiably so at the time. It's not like a stagnant belief. You know, people's perceptions transition from day to day based on what's going on around them. But what was really scary about that interview was that it really reminded me of something that we've seen before.
Americans are asking, why do they hate us? They hate what they see right here in this chamber, a democratically elected government. Their leaders are self-appointed. They hate our freedoms, our freedom of religion, our freedom of speech, our freedom to vote and assemble and disagree with each other.
That was George Bush. And that was
justify 9/11. I mean, justify war in Iraq after 9/11.
Yeah. One of the sad truths is that people didn't really want to talk about this, but a big motivation for the terrorist attack on 9/11 was things that had to do with Israel. People there looked at the United States as an enabler of some really unjust, horrific events. But for some reason, they didn't even talk about that in the United States. The only reason people are even talking about Israel now is because they're horrified about the extreme violence, the extreme injustice that they're seeing in front of their own eyes going on en masse. And that's the reason. People are just shocked by what they see. And I think a lot of people have empathy. A lot of people want justice. A lot of people believe in American values, and they don't support that kind of brutal behavior.
Yeah, I don't know what I can say, that stuff is scary. Like they're deporting immigrants that have a certain opinion. But I think, part of that terrorist attack, I'm not with terrorism and I don't support terrorism, don't condone it. But part of it is people traumatized at the crimes that have been done in the Middle East. Like, do Americans understand that when you guys make a weapon and send it and ship it to the Middle East, it's gonna be used to kill people? It's gonna be used to tear families apart. Some person will be the only survivor out of a family of 50. Like, do you guys understand this? It's people. It's human beings just like you who have a functioning brain. And one of these terrorists who were on the plane on 9/11, his parents died in Palestine by Israel.
It's called the military-industrial complex, and it's a huge business on the back of human suffering. So the people that make the weapons absolutely know their weapons are going to be used to kill people. They don't care. They have lobbyists that go to government and petition politicians to have wars, to have conflicts. It's great for business. They make a lot of money with what's going on.
I was told that by a man at the church, actually, at
Yeah.
the Orthodox church. I met a conspiracy theorist, but he was a very smart person and educated, and he had a lot of achievements in his field. Anyway, he said it's good for business.
Right. I mean, you got to think about it. Why did the United States never send Ukraine enough weapons to actually win the war? They just kept giving them enough weapons to keep the conflict going. I mean, theoretically, let's say they could have won the war if they had the right weapons and training. And a lot of people complain, like, why aren't you sending Ukraine sufficient weapons to win the war? Well, the reason is there's a lot more money to be made when the war is ongoing. And it's been like that forever. I mean, World War I, people became incredibly wealthy. World War II, people became incredibly wealthy. Weapons manufacturing is good business when there's conflict in other places of the world where people can be killed and terrorized and it doesn't affect you.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's humans too, and they're gonna fight back. Like, think about common sense. If you, let's say, wanna become a rich person, and then you choose the stealing route, you try to steal money from people. You try to find loopholes to steal their money. Don't you think one of them at least will come back and retaliate and try to sue you every way they can and get their money back and ruin your life and put you in jail? Don't you think at least one of the victims will do that? Same logic. I would like to stop here and say hi to Lily on Instagram. Say hi to someone said greetings from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Hi, welcome to the podcast. And someone, Muhammad, says, hello, I am the only one in the live. Hello, Muhammad. You can always join and call us if you want to. That's our phone number, WhatsApp, +614-332-2811, and it's free to call us.
Yeah. Okay. So to kind of shift back to today's topic, the Trump administration is dismantling the federal government. And the reason being that there's conservatives who want states to have more control and the federal government to have less control. This has been an ongoing debate in the United States. And so with a lot of things they're dismantling the reach of the federal government. And we'll see how well it turns out. Maybe it turns out good. Look, if the states, I think some states are definitely going to be better than other states. But the federal government, it was their job to really regulate things and to make sure things happen fairly. And when you take that away, who knows? We're in Ohio. I think Ohio would do just fine with that. It's a very modern, functional state.
But don't you think some states will want an independence? That's the scary part.
I don't think most states could survive as independent countries either.
California.
Well, California. But still, I doubt we're there yet. When you belong to the United States, you have an entire continent where you can have free trade. It's, there's so many things you don't have to worry about when you are a state and not an entire country. So, yeah, Texas has talked about it. California, they talk about it. But they benefit from belonging to the United States.
To Americans, I would like to say, if that would happen, it's a scary thing to happen. It's a scary thing because I'm from an Arabic background. In history, we were fine when we were one whole nation. We were thriving. We established the modern sciences. Our scientists established those. We had the very first universities in the world. People came to our country to study for college and to learn and to gain knowledge. And Europe was backwards when we were one united big nation, big Arabic country. And that includes the Middle East and North Africa. When that got divided, we are in our worst times ever today. We economically were not fine. Security-wise, a lot of our countries have wars. It's just divided. Right now, what's happening in Palestine is actually uniting us back. But back in the day, when I was younger, people hated each other from different Arabic countries. Like, you will have that if you're divided here. You will hate Texans. Texans will hate New Yorkers, and Californians will hate whatever, Floridans.
I think Americans right now are very divided. And the problem is that they've been divided because mass media and political disinformation. You make a lot of money when you lie to people and you manipulate them to follow a political movement.
That's just scary. That's not a good thing if it happens.
It happens. That's why we're where we're at.
We're divided, but if we are divided by geography, if we're divided by geography, we're going into a very dark place. Very dark place. I'm telling you, coming from what used to be the first world and now it's the third world. It used to be the first world probably 500 years ago.
Okay, you're right. So the federal agencies that have been cut so far or are planning to be cut, so I think the biggest one is USAID, which stands for U.S. Agency for International Development. And there's a lot of things that USAID did. And I see tweets from Elon talking about how USAID was funding political movements and political protests. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true. And maybe, again, we're not saying everything here is a mistake. We're just saying that it's a drastic change and there could be unforeseen consequences. One of the unforeseen consequences with cutting U.S. aid is that that's how the United States exercises soft power. You have hard power and you have soft power. Mm-hmm. Soft power is paying someone to like you, basically.
Yeah.
And they've taken that ability away. And that opens up the door to the adversaries of the United States, like China, to go in there and start using their soft power to build a coalition against us.
How do you know USAID is used appropriately, though?
I don't think it always is used appropriately. I think that's a fair critique. Absolutely.
The other day, a Haitian man was telling me, I see a lot of foreigners, by the way. Anyway, Haitian man was telling me that USAID helped the bad guys in his government to be in the government. And these bad guys take money from the gangs. Mm-hmm. And the gangs buy these people in the government. And USAID works with those people, with those corrupt people. Mm-hmm. He also told me USAID did, I don't know how true that is, but funded the wrong people in Iraq.
Another part you have to consider too is that when you're going to a place that you don't really understand and you don't really know, you need to somehow have a group that can be organized around what you want to do. So if you have an organized crime, if you have someone who's a warlord, you have people that have influence and control. There's a reason why the groups that the United States backs in the Middle East are Islamic. The United States will organize them around their religion to get what they want, but these are also groups that are already organized. When you don't have much civil participation, when you don't have people allowed to congregate and have movements for other things other than following the status quo, the party of the government, you have basically religion. That's about the only thing people can organize around. So these religious groups in the Middle East are really easy to back and build a movement around because they're already organized. And that's also why if you give democracy all of a sudden, these groups typically win that election because they have the capacity to carry out a political campaign. And in Haiti, if you have organized crime, you've got a ringleader, you have a corporate structure. You have someone at the top that can communicate and give orders, and you have people that can carry out the orders. So it makes sense why that happens. And you're right, it's not good, but at the same time, if the United States or any country is trying to go to Haiti and they're trying to get things done, I think any country would work with the organized group.
Which is a lot of the times a corrupt group.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see what happens. I haven't investigated a lot about U.S. aid. I'm just hearing people from I'm just hearing opinions, you know?
Yeah, USAID also is doing things like providing HIV medication for people in countries where they don't have access to it otherwise. I think they're providing just something like ground peanuts to starving kids in Sudan, whatever. But people are dependent on this. Now, here's the thing. If you say the United States, it's not our job to babysit the world. It's not our job to take care of the rest of the world. Okay, fair enough. But when we've committed ourselves to it, don't you think it's at least ethical for us to give notification that, hey, we're no longer going to cover these things. We're no longer going to provide these services, and it's going to be cut off on such and such date. And then you give other international organizations a chance to step in, or the country a chance to step up, but you give notice of it. When you just stop it abruptly, you're basically taking yourself out of commitments, and a lot of people are hurt in those processes.
Mm-hmm. Like when they withdrew from Afghanistan, for example, that was traumatic. It happened all of a sudden, and a lot of people died as a result. Yeah, I agree. Well, I agree that there should be a notice. It should be gradual. Hey, we're going to leave within blah, blah, blah. I agree with the idea, though. United States is not the world's police, but at the same time, United States should not be the world's warlord. You know, like that, I can't justify it. I cannot justify sending weapons to Israel, knowing that they kill children, knowing that they persecute the other people. I can't.
Yeah, so you're right. We don't have to be the world police, but we don't have to be the world's warlord.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so the next group that they cut was U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness. Actually, there's a lot of homeless people in the United States, so I'm not sure that this group was very good at what they were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Homelessness just keeps getting worse in the United States.
They cut funding of the homelessness?
I think they cut out the agency altogether.
Oh, okay. These homeless people, do they even know how to seek help? Do they go to that?
I don't know. I know in California, they allocated a large amount of money to fight homelessness. And the agency literally just had some really high paid government workers who did nothing to solve the problem. There's just so many people that are going into government right now who are just looking for ways to siphon money and do nothing. It's almost like a trend now for people to be unaccountable, dishonest government workers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was one. Let me see. Next one.
Let me read Mohammed's comment. He says, "Hello, Hind. I'm from Kurdistan. I really like your frank thinking that you always say without any fear. I'm your old fan, Hind Deer. Thank you, Mohammed, for following me. Plus, I'm really scared of saying what I'm saying. I kid you not. I have fear, but I believe in God, and I will stay strong. And we have a plan if something went wrong. I think it's not smart to stifle people like me. I think I'm very beneficial to the country, but if Americans decide I'm not, then I have a plan. But yeah, I'm not brave. I'm not that brave that you think I am." All right.
Yeah, we're not having fun right now.
Yeah, we are not.
We're not excited. We're probably sucking at doing the podcast too because our brains are so fluttered with things that we're worrying about. So anyways, the next group that got cut was the Institute of Museum and Library Services. So, again, some of these groups, I'm not really sure what they do, but, and I don't think this means there's not going to be any more public libraries, but that's just one of the other groups that got cut.
I love museums. I love going to museums and libraries, but I don't know if these are federal, to be honest.
No, they're not federal.
They're not federal.
Yeah, I don't know what, again, sometimes the federal government, they do sort of regulatory things. So there may be things that libraries need that the federal government would help them with. So
If all these cuts benefit Americans, I don't mind it. But we know exactly why they're making these cuts, so they can afford the war on Palestine.
U.S. Agency for Global Media. Actually, this one, I think, was a mistake to cut this one.
Yeah?
Yeah, so back to the idea of soft power. This is the group that does things like, does radio shows talking about liberty in authoritarian states. So I think it's like Radio Free Europe. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So we don't have Radio Free Europe in the United States, but a lot of people who are from outside the United States, they love to listen to Radio Free Europe. And it's basically a radio that talks about benefits of democracy, benefits of freedom, basically talks about a lot of American ideals. A lot of people say it makes Americans look very good.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably might be a little misleading compared to what we see going on right now. But yeah, a lot of people hear that and they really support the United States because of that stuff. And along with the soft power, us getting rid of that, we're also losing access to our ability to influence people in the same way.
What's next? So you're basically listing all the government agencies that were dismantled
Yeah, or in the process of being dismantled.
under Trump. Gotcha.
Okay, Community Development Financial Institution Fund. So this agency had to do with funding local credit unions or helping banks in underserved areas. When we say underserved, they mean lower income areas. So again, it's a regulatory function that these agencies do. Next one.
Next.
Minority Business Development Agency. So I guess the name probably says it all. It has to do with maybe more minority-owned businesses.
Yeah.
So again, we don't know a whole lot about these agencies, but they're gone now. So
Yeah. I mean, giving a minority an advantage over a majority is not that smart, you know? I kind of agree with making everyone equal, not giving someone advantage over the other.
based on identity,
Based on, identity or sex, you know?
gender.
Like women given more chance than men. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, everything has to be equal.
I guess I'm kind of black and white when it comes to that. Like, I just see people as the same. Like, ethnically, I'm European, and my wife is Arab or Persian. And I don't know. I don't see anything that separates us at all as humans. I think half of my friends are from other countries. I just don't see it when I look at people. I don't see any difference there. I don't see, I don't know. I understand, too, the factors of people coming from underserved areas where they don't have the same resources. They don't have the same education. They don't have the same families backing. You know, families are a big deal. You have a strong family. You have strong children that have strong careers. I mean, there are things sometimes that need to be addressed. I think someone who would be pro-cutting this would argue that that's something that the state should deal with. And sure, I hope the states deal with it because, you know, we want to have a good society. All right, this one.
Before you say it, Janet is commenting on YouTube. The library cuts will impact money that provide services that support internet connections for research and educational support.
All right, so the next one, Department of Education. This one is very controversial. So conservatives have wanted to dismantle the Department of Education for a long time. And I don't have the full list of reasons why, but I know a big part of it is because this element is very powerful in politics and they're very influential politically. And they're influential in Democratic circles. And that's been a big thorn in conservatives' rears for a while. And then also what the Department of Education does too is it regulates certain laws. It helps to make some things more equitable to mostly underserved areas. Most of these groups really serve underserved areas. The federal government basically does what other people don't. It fills in the patches. So the argument would be that states should decide education. And I do agree. The reason things are the way they are now in the United States is because in our history, we had a lot of inequity in education. And there was a lot of court cases and Supreme Court decisions that led to the federal government trying to normalize education and give people access to it. I mean, Brown v. Board, and I can't remember all of them, but that's the reason. Integrating schools and trying to end systematic discrimination.
Is the Department of Education funding charter schools, or is that something funded by the state?
I think so. Mostly these states fund most of the education.
Okay.
So the Department of Education does provide funding. It also just helps enforce a lot of civil rights protections.
Okay.
I think it does loans or financial support for students.
There more?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Columbia University. For obvious reasons.
All right, Columbia University. This one lost like $400 million. This was because they had a lot of pro-Palestinian demonstrations. I think people that were upset about that would say that they were pro-Hamas demonstrations. I think most people would agree that that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Although there may have been some people there that
Some
said
of
pro-Hamas things.
Some
But
of the protesters are dressed up like Abu Ubaidah, like Hamas fighters.
yeah.
I've seen that on the footage from protesters. But these are also young people, like...
Well, also the reason that they want to silence those people is because the reality about what's going on in the Middle East is different than what a lot of people have grown up thinking. And they're going to lose support. And Israel cannot do the things it does now without backing from the United States. So if the United States were to pull back on its military support, Israel would have to start learning how to get along with other people. They would have to find a way to live peacefully with Palestinians. They have to find a way to live peacefully with being next to Lebanon and Syria and Egypt. And
wouldn't that be amazing?
yeah, I think that a lot of people think that would be amazing. But
like, it's a win-win situation. Americans don't have to lose money on weapons sent to Israel. At the same time, Israel is put in a situation where it has to make peace.
I saw a congressman talking today saying that the United States gives Israel, through all of our support, about $30,000 a year for every man, woman, and child. So it's one of the reasons Israel can have free health care.
Oh, wow. Where's my free health care?
Okay, so another one, National Institute of Health. So this is, I think out of all the ones, this is kind of troublesome because this group does a lot with medical research. So there's maybe thousands of medical studies that have been halted abruptly because of this. It was a very reckless thing. I think that's my point. Slashing these things.
I know that National Institute of Health takes direct money from Big Pharma, and they do a lot of things to appease Big Pharma, including research that is not in the best interest of the people. It's in the best interest of filling the pockets of these pharmaceutical companies. Like, there is a lot of work behind the scenes that's being done.
None of these groups got eliminated because they like to take money from lobbyists. If anything, in Washington, D.C., that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So like, these things are going to exist no matter what. And if leaders really wanted to make these companies more transparent, they could. But the idea of just suddenly abruptly cutting them, it disrupts a lot of things that are happening, and that could be an issue. I think there was like some studies where they have medical devices in people, and clinical trials got cut abruptly, and people still have these devices inside their bodies, things like that. Cancer research, viral research, things that are important, very important, even like studying the flu and things. And we ended our relationship with the World Health Organization. So I don't know, unless states have the ability to do these studies, to fund the universities to do these studies, it's probably going to have a very disastrous consequence.
Yeah. But I still think it's a corrupt, health is so corrupt in this country. It is really corrupt. Like, if you're not going to cut the funding from a health agency, you gotta at least investigate it. And that's what a good government would do. Investigate it. Where is the money coming from? Is there conflict of interest, for example? Stuff like that,
Okay.
Hi, can you see me? Yes, we can see you. Hi, how are you?
So the next one, hasn't been cut yet, but I think this is on the chopping block. Head Start.
Head Start. They cut the funding of Head Start.
So Head Start is sort of like free preschool for, again, underserved communities. And people talk about how American students aren't very educated, aren't very good at reading and doing mathematics. But taking away these institutions will probably not make the problem better. It will probably make the problem worse. The idea behind Head Start is that you have some type of program that gets children who may not be exposed to that sort of environment more prepared for school. It's basically preschool. It's preschool for poor kids.
Yeah, and it's not going to be there anymore?
It's on the chopping block. I don't know exactly what will happen with it, but it's on the chopping block.
Yeah, I would not agree with cutting the funding of Head Start. Like, the earlier the better.
Yeah. Okay. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, they're going after this one too. So it's kind of a blurry picture, but Consumer Financial Protection. So that's the agency that's going to protect people against predatorial lenders and people that step in against your credit card going from 20% interest to 120% interest overnight. Your bank charging you, $500 a day for a bounced check. So they're eliminating that. And I think that they're eliminating that one for clearly nefarious reasons.
But for the status quo, I don't think the consumer is that much protected, to be honest.
No. I've lived in the United States for my whole life, and we've gone through phases where there was more predatorial lending. And yeah, things are a lot better than they were before. Not having issues is a good thing. The whole point is not having problems. When all of a sudden you owe a bank $10,000 because a check bounced and you didn't see it for a few days, it can ruin your life. And people that are in charge of these banks and financial organizations that target people like this, they're the ones that are behind cutting this program. They don't want to be accountable. They want to be able to do whatever they want. They look at Americans like we're sheep, like we're dummies that just live to make them money. You exist for them. You exist for them to make money. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Low income home energy assistance program. Again, I think the purpose is in the name. Helps people
pay their bills.
Yeah, something like that. And again, I don't know how effective these programs are or how they allocate the money. My guess is they probably send the money to the states who then allocate it to the people that need it. SNAP.
Oh, that's food stamps.
Yeah. So I don't know.
They're stopping food stamps?
They're doing big cuts to it. I don't know how much. This is one that's on the chopping block. But yeah, they're planning on doing big cuts to SNAP. And again, these are people that are just, if you can't afford food, you're pretty desperate. I don't understand the point of, safety nets are important. You can't have a functioning society without safety nets. And everybody that has money and a cushy life, they've gotten that way because we have safety nets that have made it possible for them to get there, whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
even bankruptcy.
It's a safety net.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have all these protections for you to be a successful entrepreneur in the U.S. That SNAP is benefiting a lot of people, including pregnant women and desperate families, newcomers, new arrivals who are here legally. I see these people a lot. They are benefiting from it.
All right.
Medicaid. Oh, cutting Medicaid.
So they're cutting Medicaid. I think that's basically insurance for. There's Medicare and Medicaid. I think Medicaid is for older people.
Medicaid is
for younger people?
No, low-income people.
Low income?
Doesn't matter how old you are.
Okay.
A lot of people with low income benefit from it. Pregnant women benefit from it.
Yeah, they want to, again, they're making it harder and harder and harder to have abortions in the United States. A big demographic of people getting abortions are young people that don't have the ability to raise a family. So you're going to have, and it's expensive to live in the United States. So you have people that don't have a lot of money that they decide that they want to keep their child. They want to be pregnant and have their child born and raise it as their parent. It's really hard to do that when you're in abject poverty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, in the United States, too, if you go to the hospital, they can't refuse service to you. So you're getting taken care of no matter what, but at least this is an organized way of paying for it.
You'll end up with bills. You will not get free medication. But yeah, you'd still get treatment. And if you're pregnant, actually, there is something called, I forgot what it's called, but it gives you food for you and the baby.
All right, so the next one. This is the FTC, so Federal Trade Commission. The Trump administration fired one of the commissioners a Democratic commissioner. So he wanted to have just Republican commissioners on the Federal Trade Commission. That's going to be a court case, but it's, again, obvious reasons. The Trump administration wanted people that will not push back against anything they want to do or will not push back against anything their donors want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So again, take it with a grain of salt. It's going to probably have some negative consequences. And I think that the negative consequences are going to outweigh any positive consequences. I could be wrong. We want Trump to do a good job.
I'm mad at him.
Yeah.
He's not doing good, peaceful things in the world like he promised. He did not stop the war in Gaza like he promised. He's standing with Israel with no conditions, unconditional support, which is makes me mad. I don't like him anymore. I'm mad at him. I'm as mad at him as I was mad at Biden and Kamala.
You know, with the stuff, with what's going on now in Gaza, a lot of people are finally talking about Israel, and a lot of people are starting to worry that the United States does not have sovereignty from Israel, or that Israel is controlling the United States. And a lot of people are talking about this right now. And again, I'm not saying one way or the other.
I think we're occupied.
Okay.
I think that.
But this has been going back for a long time, but people didn't talk about it that much. A lot of people that would say things over the years, people looked at them like they were racist, that they hated Jewish people. They were anti-Semitic if they said something. But you can go back years and find people saying the same sort of things that you're seeing people saying now. And it's not just the stuff in Gaza. You also have Jeffrey Epstein, where you have someone who's clearly blackmailing U.S. politicians in the U.S. territory. And nobody's really ready to say what happened. I mean, it's that bad. You have a Mossad agent blackmailing U.S. politicians in the United States, coming here, picking them up, putting them on his plane, and taking them to his private island where they have sex with children. That happened. That was Jeffrey Epstein. And nobody will admit his link to the Mossad, but people can put the pieces together themselves. And on top of that, you have the stuff with JFK. And a lot of people now are asking whether Israel had any involvement in the JFK assassination. I don't know whether they did or not, but there's a lot of people that are talking about that right now. And everyone has their opinions about it, but it goes back a while, and these things are adding up. And I think if nothing else, the United States has to get to the point where a self-reckoning where we say, hey, are we acting independently? Do we have control over our own government? Let me show you some stuff
Are we a sovereign nation?
Mm-hmm. This is a reverend, obviously conservative right-wing person from 1987 doing this commercial.
Hello, I'm Ted Pike, and this is my wife, Alin. Today, a foreign government, Israel, operates the most powerful lobby in Congress. This is AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Through control of Congress, Israel demands and gets nearly $5 billion annually. No elected official dares criticize Israel for fear the Jewish lobby will accuse him of anti-Semitism, the kiss of death for any politician.
Yeah, so that was in 1987, and it sounds a lot like what people are saying today, but let me show you this other interview. So this was in 2009.
I'm saying this to you right now. Israel gets approximately $15 billion a year from the American taxpayers. Is $30,000 for every man, woman, and child. And people in my district are losing their pension benefits. It's an objective assessment that no one will have the courage to speak about. They're controlling much of our foreign policy. They're influencing much of our domestic policy. Wolfowitz, as Undersecretary of Defense, manipulated President Bush #2 back into Iraq. They pushed definitely to try and get Bush before he left to move into Iran. We're conducting an expansionist policy of Israel, and everybody's afraid to say it. They control much of the media, they control much of the commerce of the country, and they control powerfully both bodies of the Congress. They own the Congress.
Are you an anti-Semite?
No, I'm not. That's exactly what they're going to say.
Wow.
Yeah. So...
Like, that's what it feels like, to be honest. That's what it feels like. We're cutting funding from our government agencies so we can afford sending billions of dollars to Israel.
You know, we could afford it all if we just got better, more accountable, more organized. I think that Elon has a potential to restructure some things. I don't think he's necessarily ethical the way he's going about it, but he has ability to update systems that make things more efficient. So here's Thomas Massey.
Everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
What's that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for AIPAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are firmly embedded in AIPAC, and
Every member has something like this?
that's how it works on the Republican side. And when they come to DC, you go have lunch with them, and they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them.
That's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, I'll talk to my AIPAC person, and it's literally what we call them, my AIPAC guy. I'll talk to my AIPAC guy and see if I can get him to dial those ads back.
Why have I never heard this before?
Why would they want to tell their constituents that they've basically got a buddy system with somebody who's representing a foreign country? It doesn't benefit the congressman for people to know that, so they're not going to tell you that.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a trend that's been going on for a while of people saying stuff, and now people are a little bit worried about it. I love Jewish people. I think Jewish people are awesome. Jewish people are super smart. With Jewish people, they're the kind of people where you can have a normal conversation. You don't have to dumb it down. They're bright people.
Yeah, I agree. They're so smart.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, when you talk to them, you have to sort of...
simplify things.
Yeah, you have to be very tactful about how you talk about things or what you say. And with Jewish people, they understand everything. You don't have to... They're bright people. I like Jewish people. It's nothing to do with... I mean, I guess it is as far as Israel goes, but I think it's kind of scary what's going on.
I think they're divided too.
Yeah.
They are divided right now, Jewish people. And, I hope they make the right decision at the end. I think enough people go on the right side of that division and not destroy themselves and the whole world, I hope the world goes in the right direction, not in chaos going forward.
Yeah. I mean, the world is in chaos right now. And do you see the stuff with Tesla? Some people firebombed Teslas, I think in Las Vegas or something, but you know what the funny, or not funny, I don't want to give light to a bad thing. It's just very ironic. The people that did the Tesla, who vandalized Tesla, they were trans people. and honestly, I think one of them was a Jewish trans person.
Yeah.
Yeah. The irony. But even here's Elon talking about it. Here's just how disconnected the two worlds are right now. There's two opposing views, and they just can't seem to meet in the middle. One opposing view is pro, what the West wants to do right now, and one opposing view that says, hey, human rights. But this is Elon talking recently about the attacks at Tesla.
If you read the news, it feels like Armageddon. So it's like I can't walk past the TV without seeing a Tesla on fire. And what's going on? Some people, it's like, listen, I understand if you don't want to buy our product, but you don't have to burn it down. That's a bit unreasonable, this is psycho. Stop being psycho. Okay.
So I get his point. It's don't be psycho, but at the same time, there's a part of that rings as basically tone deaf, because the people that are protesting against Elon, they're protesting a lot of things that I think are psycho. And, for example, I mean, just look at this. This is...
Oh, they went back, babe. That was before the ceasefire agreement. And then when the ceasefire agreement took effect on the first stage, these people went back to the north of Gaza, which pissed Israel off because Israel wants to ethnically cleanse Gaza. And they were so proud that they ethnically cleansed the North Gazans to the south. Now, when they went back, Israel was divided on whether to keep going with the ceasefire agreement or to break it. And then eventually they broke it.
Yeah, but
that was before the ceasefire.
When Elon Musk is talking about how it's psycho that people are vandalizing Teslas, and I get his point, but at the same time, it sort of rings as tone deaf because to some degree, Elon is directly or indirectly supporting the genocide, which I would argue is far worse, far more immoral than what's going on with...
It's vandalizing buildings. It's vandalizing human lives. It's vandalizing every tree, every hope, vandalizing future. Like, it's vandalizing everything. It's disgusting. It's sad. It's dark. If you're a genocide supporter, like, I don't know, like, where can we meet in the middle? Like, I don't know if we can meet something in the middle. Like, it's a genocide. It's,
Yeah.
I can't justify it.
You know,
I can't.
going back to the JFK stuff, you know, what didn't help? All the paranoia right now and the conspiracy theories about whether Israel was involved with JFK's assassination. Ben Shapiro made this comment the other day, and this kind of stuff, again, it's very tone deaf. It doesn't look good. It has a very bad look to it.
Sort of conspiracy theorizing that's become incredibly popular on the right these days. It was popular on the left, and now it's become increasingly popular on the right. The kind of, let's just ask questions. We'll ask, who really killed JFK? Wink, wink, nod, nod. And then you're like, well, do you have any evidence of the thing that you are presupposing? Well, no, I'm not making any accusations. I just know I don't believe the story that I'm being told. Well, that's fine, but do you have like any evidence? Like evidence, not just supposition. I don't care who killed JFK. I mean, I do, because it's really interesting, but I noticed that the calendar says 2025 and he was killed in 1963. And so my opinion about who killed JFK has about as much relevance as who killed William McKinley, or James Garfield, which is to say not an enormous amount.
So the tactic that he's using is he's trying to...
That's a tactic used by Israel, by the way.
It's a political tactic.
Yeah.
And it's basically trying to embarrass people or dismiss people outright by...
Or making it go away by being old. It's an old crime, so it goes away.
Yeah, but what he's doing right now is he's basically insulting people that are curious about JFK, trying to undermine those people. Mm-hmm. It's a political tactic. You know, when people say things like queers for Hamas or queers for Palestine would be killed if they went to Israel. Whether or not that's true is one thing, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to outright dismiss a group and not listen to what they have to say. And the fact that Ben Shapiro is doing that, it doesn't look good. It looks like he is trying to hide stuff.
Yeah. I don't think he's honest with himself 100%.
Yeah.
He's hiding stuff, definitely.
Yeah.
And he's trying also like to make it go away of being old, in addition to what you said.
Yeah. So anyways, the stuff is I just don't know what to think right now. I don't know what to think. I guess it's pretty clear now that Project 2025 is going into effect. Just how fast they're trying to steamroll things and shift organizational structures and get rid of accountability from... Anyways, it's scary. And a lot of people didn't really know what to expect because, you know, Trump said a lot of things during his campaign, and he would say things all the time to try to dismiss concerns about this kind of stuff. Trump would say that he doesn't really know about Project 2025 or that it's kind of out there. And again, I don't know to the T how much they're trying to implement it, but that's exactly what's going on right now. It's a strategy for overwhelming the federal government with overwhelming the... I can't even talk to him, I'm so stressed. Steamrolling the government, taking over as kind of as a conservative movement. And people are talking now too about, I saw Steve Bannon talking about how he wants to have Trump run for a third term. And they're trying to go in and redefine the legal wording that bans a president from having a second term or a third term. And it's kind of unnerving. The idea now that Trump wants to make Canada the 51st state, with everything that's happening right now, I worry that Trump really wants to make himself the dictator. And when his term's up, if he controls Canada, Americans won't be able to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And I think that he knows now if he were to pull that, a lot of Americans would flee to Canada. I think you would have a significant portion of the country that would flee to Canada, and that would seriously impact the United States. And so my paranoia at this point thinks Trump is on that path and is trying to consolidate the power around him.
Yeah, it's scary. It's up to Americans not to let that happen.
I mean, even like...
you guys gotta be awake and watch out. That's what I have to say.
So, I mean, this is Trump talking about Yemen.
You can solve problems over a telephone. Instead, they start dropping bombs. I see recently they're dropping bombs all over Yemen.
That was Trump talking about Biden bombing Yemen, and now Trump's bombing Yemen.
Where's the peace he promised us?
Every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran.
Yeah, that was someone reading Trump's Truth Social statement about it, yeah. Here's his Caroline Leavitt talking about more threats with Iran and Yemen.
Our message to Iran is you bet better take this president seriously, and I think the Houthis learned that the hard way.
Yeah, so it's just sort of a 180 where Trump was talking about not being involved in more wars and posturing like this.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite.
Feels like it.
Yeah, which is concerning, really concerning.
Yeah. You know, one of the reasons people voted for Trump is because they're really unhappy with the status quo. And again, there's a lot of stuff to complain about. I get it. But I don't think most people wanted changes this drastic. I think there are some people that are really happy seeing it, but I think some of those people are happy because they are miserable and they want to see people suffering, and it gives them pleasure to see other people suffering because they're unhappy people. They're sort of pathetic, or they don't have people that really like them or care about them. So they take pleasure in watching abuse, basically. But you know, just the United States in general, over time, people are becoming less and less happy. There's this just came out, the new happiness index. In 2018, the United States ranked 19th in overall happiness compared to the rest of the world.
I mean, that's not bad.
Right. And 2001 to 2023, the United States dropped down to the 23rd. Okay. Now, the most recent happiness index, the United States dropped more. Now the United States dropped down to 24. So there's a pattern that the United States is losing, the United States decreasing in overall happiness. So, yeah.
Scary times.
Yeah.
Scary times.
And you know what else too? Like even when it comes to Israel, there were Israeli news reports. People were claiming that Netanyahu knew about October 7th before it happened, and that he allowed it to happen.
I 100% think he did.
So there's some stuff that's in the news right now in Israel. Look at these news reports. So first we have, this is on March 5th. Jerusalem Post published the story on March 5th. Netanyahu's funding for Hamas via Qatar enabled October 7th invasion, according to Shin Bet. All right? Shin Bet. It's like Israel's FBI.
Okay.
Said that the Netanyahu gave funding to
Hamas
that specifically helped them carry out October 7th. It's not saying that Netanyahu knew about it, but it's saying that funding helped it. Okay?
Okay.
This is March 17th. Firing the Shin Bet chief is part of Netanyahu's dangerous distraction tactics. So right after that report came out, Netanyahu started trying to dismantle Shin Bet. So again, it's just trying to silence people. And when you're trying to silence people, usually you have something to hide.
That's what happens to Adam
Bowler,
yeah. They silenced him. They fired him after he said he sat down with Hamas guys and they were normal people.
March 20th. Netanyahu's government votes to dismiss head of Israel's internal security service, Shin Bet. How do people not see these patterns? How do people not?
Maybe they're scared. Maybe they see it, but they're afraid.
I mean, we're scared.
Afraid to lose their jobs, afraid to, I don't know, everyone is afraid of something.
Yeah.
Israel is really good at that job, making everyone scared of it.
Yeah.
Like, don't underestimate them. They have a lot of power. They have something called Hezbollah. They have a whole system of, like, making people scared.
This is when Israel broke the ceasefire and killed 400 people. This is Haaretz article. Israel recently committed the largest child massacre in its history. The numbers are not reported in Israel media, and if they are, it's always minimized. At what point do people get tired of seeing this? At what point do people say enough is
when the
enough?
media starts reporting on it? People working in the media are scared to report on it. They're scared.
So, but here's the thing too. So, regarding Shin Bet, this is Netanyahu. He described it as a leftist deep state in Israel. Basically, he says something like, whenever a strong right-wing government comes to office, the deep state left-wing fanatics always try to undermine them. Netanyahu is a poster child of deep state. I mean, is ground zero for deep state. You can't get any more deep state than Netanyahu.
Exactly.
Like that.
He's at the core of deep state.
Yeah. Like the stuff that he says, and you know when he's talking that way, he's talking to it. He's either thinks the people listening to him are dumb or the people listening to him are dumb.
I think he's pure evil.
Yeah.
He manipulates presidents. He manipulated Biden. He's now manipulating Trump and all the Republicans. He was just smiling like the devil when Trump was talking about ethnically cleansing Gaza and building in a Riviera in the Middle East, and he has no remorse whatsoever. I don't think Netanyahu has any good bone in him. Pure evil. Satan, the devil.
Yes, he's probably a sociopath.
He's definitely either a sociopath or a psychopath.
I don't know. I just don't understand why people take pleasure in watching other people suffer, like,
or justify it.
Yeah, I mean, why don't people? I don't know.
I'm just like I can't understand it either. Like, why are we here? What brought us here? Why did we end up here? Where's the world? Like, don't you see other people suffering? Don't you see a genocide live? The other genocides that went in history, they were not live on social media. There was no social media. People did not know about them. But this one, we know about it, and we could not stop it. And some people are justifying it and fine with it. How? How did we get there as a humanity? Did we lose our sanity? Did we lose our humanity? Did we turn into robots that don't think for themselves? I'm just speechless. The war is back, exactly like Biden left it, you know? That was a pause to get some hostages, and that's it. And it will continue. And they will take the land. They will take Gaza. But it will not end there, because these people are going to retaliate. These people are severely damaged.
I do see there's a significant portion of right-wing Christians in the United States that are starting to wake up to this injustice, that they're seeing these massacres, and they're seeing the disproportionate influence that a foreign country has over our own government, and they're raising alarm bells. They're talking about this stuff, and I don't think they're going to stop. For every action, there's a consequence. You know, there's a reaction, and it's going to build up and reverberate over time, and it's going to eventually turn into a huge movement. It's not going to benefit the bad guys in the long run. In the long run, the bad guys are going to be bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And people will rebel. I mean, people always rebel. Do you know the conservative trend right now in the United States? A big part of the conservative trend in the United States are people rebelling against the liberal phase of the United States. People always rebel against the status quo. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. I wish it was. I wish people are more stable. I don't know why people there's like this certain element of humans that just need chaos. You know, they can't really live peacefully. They need to have violence, and they need to have unpredictability. It makes them feel good or something. I don't know. There's just people that just want to fight.
You know what they call that in Japan? Kaizen. They call it Kaizen. That means constant improvement. They use it as a constant improvement thing. They don't use it as a fighting thing. And look what Japan is right now. That's because they always improve things.
Yeah.
You want to wrap up, babe?
See if I have any reels to watch. Not really. I'm not really in the mood to even watch the reels right now.
Me either.
I'm like, nothing's funny.
Yeah.
Not very.
We'll keep that for another time.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for reaching this part of the show. Keep supporting us. Keep liking our show. And we didn't get any calls this week, but we hopefully get some calls next week. See you next week, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
All right. Maselama.